Hey, this is Jim at Broadfield Distributing. Thanks for joining us for another Broadfield webinar. This one we're calling the Broadfield Road Trip. We took a field trip today to the PTZOptics studio in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Not too far from Broadfield's HQ, but happy to talk about some exciting new cameras from PTZOptics. And of course, I couldn't be invited into the studio here without the PTZOptics man himself, Paul Richards. Hey, Paul.
Thank you for being here, Jim.
Thank you for having me. It's such a great time.
I know. And you got to invite me over to your studio pretty soon because I've been there, but I don't think you ever invited me to actually be on your show.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have
in
to have
person.
you.
No, you've had me, but in person.
We have recently had Kevin join us to introduce him to the dealer sales team. Mm-hmm. We would love to have you in studio. It's funny how we rely on Microsoft Teams and Zoom to bring our guests in that you forget how much easier it is to have people in studio sometimes and actually talk on camera with them. And you have a very comfortable studio here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Mike's showing the little shot here. It's a blast to build a studio, and so many of our company customers are building studios for businesses.
Yep.
They're realizing the value of video is so apparent.
Yes.
And we're here just making a live stream, making videos, and connecting with our audience. So thank you for watching, everybody. This is going out live. And we're using our PTZOptics Move 4K cameras to do it.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of our dealers are very familiar with the PTZOptics Move 4K camera, the Move SE camera, one of the most affordable broadcast quality PTZ cameras on the market. But what I really wanted to talk to you about was the brand new HuddlecamHD SimpleTrack3. Can you tell us a little bit about what this camera does?
Yeah, let me grab it because I've got one over here.
Oh, great.
Here it is. And I'm glad we're talking about this because auto tracking has become such a big deal.
Yes.
On the PTZOptics side, all of our new cameras include auto tracking because we believe that you can really unlock the full potential of robotic PTZ cameras by allowing them to automatically track. And there's a lot of really cool innovation happening here. The ability to track a single person, even if there's other people in the scene. The ability to track a group. The ability to auto frame specific people. And one of the things I really want to talk about is the difference between a single sensor auto tracking camera and a dual sensor auto tracking.
So the single sensor cameras, that's what the new Move SE, Move 4K, those added the auto tracking as a feature to a broadcast quality camera.
Yes.
The SimplTrack3 with that second lens is really a camera that's purpose-built for auto tracking.
Yeah, and there's some significant differences, and there's going to be challenges that can be solved by a dual sensor auto tracking camera that you just can't do with the single sensor.
Okay.
Especially in the education market.
Yes.
Now, one of the things we can do with a dual sensor auto tracking camera, and it's going to sound funny, is that we can stop tracking. So if you have an educator who's in front of a whiteboard, it's actually kind of distracting to have the camera moving constantly.
Yes.
With a dual sensor auto tracking camera, you can set up a zone where you want the camera to specifically catch everything at the top of the whiteboard to the bottom so that the entire presentation space is tracked perfectly. And it makes it much easier for students to read that text and written. And some professors don't necessarily have the most legible handwriting to begin with.
Absolutely true. I remember that all too well. So, Paul, I know with the HuddlecamHD brand, that is the first signal to our dealer channel that this product is made for corporate boardrooms, corporate AV space. You just spoke about the education market and the huge opportunity there. And I think that really is a nice feature where that second lens with the auto tracking really comes into play. But you've developed some software features that really take advantage of that also for that market, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to show the software or not. If we can, I'll ask the producer to go ahead and show the software. If not, I will walk us through it.
Okay.
But the great thing about the software is it's an enterprise level software.
Okay.
So we have hundreds of thousands of universities using this out there. And the SimplTrack, by the way, is on its third generation. So we're using the same software for our customers who bought SimplTrack 1 when it first came out 6 years ago.
Wow.
SimplTrack 2, that's been a really used popularly. Okay, here comes the software, so I'll walk us through this. And then now we are in the SimplTrack3. We're going to use the exact same software for SimplTrack 1, 2, and 3. And what it'll do is, as an IT manager, you'll be able to find every single classroom on your network and really get it to work perfect for each room. If you're an IT manager, with these auto tracking cameras, you want them to set it and forget it.
Yes.
But you need the tools to really set it up perfectly because every room's a little different. The science class is a little different from the education class or the English class, right? Some people like Blackboard, some people like whiteboard, some people have science experiments. So what we can do is we can set up the lecture area so that it will track in that area, but we can also set up blocking zones for doors, windows, televisions, things that can often throw off the auto tracking. And then we can set up preset zones where we say, when the teacher walks into this zone, we want it to frame them perfectly at their lectern.
Okay.
Or, things of that nature.
Okay, that's great. And you mentioned the third generation of the camera. I love the technology route. When the technology works the right way, we get a better quality camera at a lower price with each generation.
Yeah.
This camera comes in at just $14.99.
It does.
And at a $1,500 map on a camera with that dual sensor auto tracking capability, it really is something that is going to sell very well into the education space, because I don't want to say it's a price conscious market, but they're looking to outfit multiple classrooms across the campus. And when one department gets a hold of it, it turns into 3 departments, turns into a whole campus, turns into multi-campuses. So the price point is still at a level where it can scale and still be quite affordable for secondary education, higher education, universities of all sizes.
I think that the $1,500 price point is really the magic price point for this type of high quality camera. We have USB, so we can plug it right into a computer using Zoom.
Okay.
It could be Panopto. It could be GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, any web-based conferencing, lecture capture recording software, Blackboard. So many of the learning management systems have software now with the recording capabilities built in just for a webcam. So this will be like a very powerful webcam.
Absolutely. And you have standard video connections on it as well. And everything is done on purpose. And that's why we grabbed an Epiphan Pro Mini to have on the set with us here, because I think there's a lot of bundle opportunities and a lot of solutions where our integrators who are installing the Pearl systems, especially the new Pearl Nexus that's going to come out, that's going to give you the rack mount install with the ability to simply connect to SimplTrack, giving you that auto tracking capability. I think there's going to be a very natural solution in a lot of schools.
The SimplTrack 1 and 2 have been paired with the Epiphan Pearl for years. The SimplTrack 1 and 2 also have the SDI, the HDMI. SDI is great for those long cable runs.
Sure.
You've got the camera in the back of the room, but the lecture capture recording system is at the front. That could be 75 feet when you're talking about 12-foot ceilings, 20, 30-foot room, another 12-foot to get down. You got to wrap it around. So SDI and the Epiphan Pearls here have the SDI connection.
Yep.
We've got HDMI if you want to have a confidence monitor. Maybe you're plugging in an encoder of some kind. This does have built-in NDI as well.
That's great.
And it is powered over Ethernet.
Excellent.
So very easy to connect and control. USB, of course, that we talked about. An SD card connection so that you've always got a backup recording in case something happens. But I would like to mention the magic here with this Epiphan connection, because Epiphan is automating the integration with the learning management systems, whether we're talking about Yuja, Kaltura, I think Panopto is another one that they integrate with.
Yep.
So the teacher walks in, it's already being recorded, it's already connected to their learning management system. Now the camera is also already tracking them, already designed specifically for their education space, which is something that you really have to have a dual sensor camera to do.
That's excellent. Now, Paul, one of the reasons I came to your studio here is because I know you have the SimplTrack3 hooked up and running, and we want to make sure we give our dealers a little bit of a demo of some of these great new features that you were talking about.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So I'll let you talk me through it because I don't have my wireless mic today.
Okay.
But I'm going to walk over to a whiteboard,
Yep.
and you can explain the magic that happens. But the point of this is that think about the students who are going to have to watch this video.
Absolutely.
This is not a production camera. Well, we could talk about some production use cases, but what we're about to show is for education.
Excellent. So as Professor Paul walks up to the whiteboard here, giving us a lesson about their brand new HuddlecamHD SimpleTrack3, he is going to walk into a preset region that was set up with a focus on the whiteboard area. You'll notice that the camera right now is not moving, even though Paul is moving back and forth, because we told this camera to focus on the whiteboard. The second Paul walks out of frame, the camera is now going to pick him up and start the auto tracking capability. But when he steps back into our focus region, we are still going to see the whiteboard. This allows all of your students to be able to take their studious notes, pass the final exam, and not have to worry about the camera bouncing all over the place. I absolutely love it. Now that can only be done with that dual sensor, right?
Yeah. Single sensor cameras are great. You know, the technology in the PTZOptics Move SE and Move 4K can track a person with speed and accuracy. It won't even get confused. We have a new trademarked feature called presenter lock, where we can lock into a specific presenter, which is great.
Yep.
But in an education environment, the dual sensor allows you to do multiple things, and we can have these preset zones. You know, we were showing the most basic preset zone, which is to just stop the camera.
Sure.
But you can do all kinds of other things, like switch a camera.
Right.
Or control a Crestron system to switch to a document camera when the teacher walks to a specific area where they're doing things. So it's a very powerful system that can do all kinds of automation because you've got this intelligence. You have the stage awareness. The camera is aware of a wide angle view of all the things that are happening. So it can control not just the optical zoom, it's a 20x optical zoom lens on top, but it can send command to other cameras as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's an important thing to point out. When we talk about the camera, we're talking about a single lens camera that has the optical image quality you would come to expect from all of your cameras. That second lens that we're talking about is a wide angle lens that is there to give the camera and the software information that makes all of this tracking capability better than ever in the specific environments that we're talking about. And I think that's one of the biggest questions that a Broadfield dealer always asks. Where do I sell the camera? Who is my target customer? When do I recommend the HuddlecamHD SimpleTrack3? We talked a lot about education already. We talked a lot about corporate boardrooms. I'm picturing Steve Jobs' famous keynote address now having this auto tracking capability. But the moment the iPhone introduction comes up on screen, that camera no longer moves. Yeah. That would be a great use case for this, right?
It would. I mean, and it's so easy to set and forget for schools. If we cut to the software again really quickly, I'd love for our producer, I know I'm asking a lot here, so we'll see, but to show how these zones are set up, because it's literally, you click a button and you can see, so he's going to click the settings button here, and what you're able to do is see that whole wide reference zone. And all you got to do is click and drag. So you can see in the center there, we have the blue box around the whiteboard. It's that easy. So if we set up another one, Mike, just for the heck of it, and just set up like a second preset zone here, you can have up to 8 of them. All you got to do is click. And now you're just saying, hey, when I see the person, walk over here, this is what I want you to do.
That's great.
And there's all kinds of things you could do. You could just have it change the input on your OBS or your vMix, or you could have it tell the Epiphan Pearl to switch cameras.
So I think from a dealer's point of view, from an integrator's point of view, this becomes a consultative environment where I could sit down with the school and spend a little time figuring out how they want to use it in the classroom, how the science lab differs from the portfolio management lecture hall, and how all of these things can change throughout the campus. And I think that's the flexibility that you get when you're doing stuff like this. And I think that's a really cool feature for sure.
Yeah.
So Paul, again, as a Broadfield dealer, a lot of our dealers are very familiar with the PTZOptics cameras. Where does the auto tracking with the Move SE and Move 4K, when is that the go-to solution?
That's a great question. And I think that in many cases, we're talking more live streaming and video production.
Sure.
Right? We're tracking And for example, if you are a pastor at the front of a church, right? There's a lot of people in that scene. There could be a choir, there could be other deacons, other different things. And so with the PTZOptics Move 4 SE and Move 4K, they have presenter lock.
Right.
So they can't do all this advanced kind of dual sensor technology they have, but what they do really well is locking onto a specific person.
Absolutely.
Now, the other new feature we're releasing for NAB is group tracking. So we can also track an entire group of people. So the Move 4K and the Move SE are really good in areas where you want to really have active tracking and you want that movement. You don't have the ability to stop the track. I mean, now you can stop the tracking with the SuperJoy. Right. So the SuperJoy and with the IR remote and things like that, you can start and stop tracking, but not automated in the way that you'd want in a school where it's set and forget. It stops itself automatically, every single time, 24/7.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to note that where PTZOptics built a great brand recognition in the live production and the event and the venue space, HuddlecamHD is equally as successful in the corporate AV and the boardroom space and the conferencing world. So it's really having all of these different solutions in your product line allows you to bring the right solution to the right customer, depending on what they need. The Move SE is going to give you that auto tracking capability in a broadcast production environment. The Move 4K, once you get to that 4K image resolution, there's obviously more information available to the tracking software that now allows that camera to do even more. And that's where I guess we would call it advanced auto tracking in the 4K, right?
Yeah. And some of the advanced things is what gets me kind of geeking out as a pro AV, professional, where I'm like, oh my gosh, we can, like, for example, there's a new feature called multi-target select where it'll identify every single human on the screen, put a number on top of them, and you can just say, hey, I want to track number 4.
Yep.
Just choose exactly who you want. We could go into a ton of details into that, but essentially, with the Move 4K and the Move SE, it is built into the camera. Same as the SimplTrack3.
Yeah, sure.
So if you're deploying a lot of these cameras, you don't need to run additional software or have another computer on site. A lot of our customers who are in the education space, they think of these SimplTrack2s and SimplTrack3s that they have deployed out there as set and forget intelligent network connected cameras that they rely on to do everything without having to run a server or a different software. It just, all the intelligence is built into the camera.
And that's a great thing too, because one of the big priorities we hear from the school marketplace all the time is the ease of installation, the speed of deployment. Our dealers know when you're working with higher education especially, it might take 6 months to a year to get that quote to turn into a purchase order. But then once they're ready to sign off on it and that budget's been approved, they want you in installing everything 2 days later.
Yeah, it's true. They want it all done June, July, and August, or maybe that 1 month in between the semesters in the winter.
Absolutely. And that is the great thing too about the SimplTrack3 with the NDIHS capability, with the PoE capability, all built in. It's one cable.
Yeah.
It's a Cat6 cable. So now June, July, August, I'm running one cable. I'm crawling through the catwalks in the hot heat in the summertime, as very little as I need to do, right? Excellent. Paul, thank you so much for having me in the studio today. HuddlecamHD SimpleTrack3 is shipping now, is in stock in Broadfield, in both Broadfield's HQ in New York, not too far from where we are today in Pennsylvania, and in Broadfield West, our new shipping location out in California. So reach out to your Broadfield sales rep today at 800-634-5178. Paul, thank you for inviting me in the studio. I hope to have you into our studio soon. Maybe what we'll do is invite Epiphan in as well, and we'll show some of these different workflows that we talked about, because I know that's something that always gets the gears turning for the integrators that we talk to, is how can I bring a complete solution with all of these different products into our customers.
I love it. I really do want to check out your studio and be there right after NAB. All the new toys we're going to bring back.
Yes. So do you want to, are you ready to give us a preview for NAB or just stop by your booth?
Just stop by the booth. We're going to, you're going to get me in trouble. You guys love to do that, don't you?
I figure while we're on camera,
it's only
let's
2
try.
weeks away, Jim.
Okay. Okay.
No, and obviously for all of your dealers, one thing I would like to say is PTZOptics is celebrating our 10-year anniversary.
Okay, great.
And we're going to have a customer appreciation event the first day of NAB from 4 to 6. It's on Sunday. I believe it's April 14th. And then for those of you who cannot make it to Vegas this year, we're going to have an online virtual customer appreciation event to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, April 24th.
So we have your dance card all but. Join PTZOptics on Sunday. Join Broadfield for our dealer party on Monday evening. And it sounds like a great show. If you haven't put your trip to Vegas yet, I think you have enough reasons to do so now. We look forward to seeing you at NAB. Tune in every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I should be back in the studio next week, but we never know where these field trips are going to take us. Thank you for tuning in. And Paul, thank you so much for having me in the studio here.
My pleasure, Jim.
Until next week, cheers.